Today, let's look at some of the most common injection molding defects and the solutions that we use here at Crescent Industries to consistently produce a high-quality part. Perhaps the most common injection molding defect is flash, which is simply when a thin layer of plastic flows outside of the mold cavity, usually along the parting line where the two mold halves are pressed together. Flash can also appear along the ejector pins and really anywhere that you have metal-on-metal contact. When this thin layer of plastic cools, it remains attached to the part and creates not only an undesirable aesthetic, but can alter the function of that part depending on its end use. Flash can be trimmed after the fact, but this increases labor and can even cause mold damage over long periods of time, which ultimately means a higher cost. So the best way to eliminate flash is by adjusting the injection molding process. First, we check the amount of pressure being used to press the two halves of the mold together, which is typically measured in tonnage. If not enough force is being applied to each half of the mold, then the melted plastic can more easily find its way outside of the mold cavity. Increasing this clamping force may be the easiest way to eliminate flash, but sometimes the material is too fluid, meaning that the melt or mold temperature can be lowered to improve the material flow. And then of course, flash can simply be caused by a low quality or worn down tool that no longer fits well together along the parting line. Crescent remedies this by having our in-house mold maintenance department just a few feet from our general production floor, allowing us to regularly clean and maintain our molds before this sort of thing becomes a problem. These are certainly not the only causes of flash, but some of the most common for sure. The next injection molding defect is called a short shot, and this simply refers to an incomplete part where the melted plastic is not fully filling the mold cavity. As you can see here, short shots can range from entire sections of the part not being filled to very subtle defects that need to be carefully looked for. In smaller parts, short shots are often the result of a material with a high viscosity, meaning it does not flow easily, especially into hard-to-reach areas. In this case, you may want to consider increasing the melt temperature or mold temperature to allow the material to flow more easily, or try an entirely different resin with a lower viscosity. Short shots may also be caused by inadequate venting in the mold, which can trap air pockets, a frozen flow channel that may need to be cleaned, or simply not packing enough resin into the mold cavity during the injection process. As you can tell, much of this has to do with the injection molding process, which involves many complex variables. So here at Crescent, we utilize a proven process called decoupled molding, and we have a number of certified master molders who are able to optimize the process not just to produce a good part, but to do it as efficiently as possible over long production runs. Alright, those first two defects are perhaps the most common and easy to spot, but these next few are much more subtle, which is why having an experienced molder in your corner is so important. Sink marks are a localized indentation or depression that appears on the surface of an injection molded part after cooling. Usually you'll find a sink mark along thicker portions of the part where cooling rates can vary significantly. Again, depending on the part's end application, this may not be a huge deal and really is purely aesthetic. But for many of the components that we make here at Crescent, a sink mark like this needs to be corrected since we do make many medical and defense related components. Once again, there are many potential causes and solutions, but the most common are lowering the mold temperature, since an overheated mold can increase the uneven cooling. You can also increase the hold pressure, increase the hold time, and if the process alterations don't make a difference, then it may be necessary to adjust the part design and reduce the thickness of certain sections in order to promote more even cooling and lower the likelihood of a sink mark. As you can imagine, altering a mold once it is already in an injection molding machine and producing parts is incredibly expensive, which is why our full-service tool shop offers design for manufacturing support from the start of the process, allowing us to help you design an optimized injection mold from the start that will ultimately be able to produce a high-quality, consistent part. Having a tool builder build your mold and a separate molder run that mold is completely removing any synergy between these two worlds and can lead to a lot of headaches that can be easily avoided by more careful carefully selecting your injection molding partner. The last defect we'll look at today is burn marks and surface contamination. A burn mark specifically is the result of overheated material, which is especially noticeable on white or clear components. Similar to the previous defects we've looked at, burn marks can be addressed by altering the injection molding process and adjusting variables like injection speed, lowering the mold temperature, improving mold venting, and properly cleaning and maintaining the mold to ensure that material does not become trapped and burn. The broader defect of part contamination can be caused by a number of variables, but for medical parts specifically, we utilize our ISO 7 and ISO 8 cleanroom facilities and preventative maintenance to drastically reduce the potential for part contamination before they become a problem. These are just some of the many injection molding defects that you may encounter during the manufacturing process, but you may also encounter warping, flow lines, splay, voids, bubbles, weld lines, jetting, discoloration, delamination, cracking, and the list goes on. As you can tell, having an experienced molder in your corner from the first conceptual design of the mold all the way through to full production is incredibly important. So to learn more about Crescent Industries and the manufacturing services that we offer, feel free to reach out to us using the contact information down below. Thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to helping bring your idea to life.